Good morning, Bentley here, and I'm going to show you some skid plates that I just finished making for the 4Runner. I think they turned out great, and I'm going to take you through the process of how I made them. But here's what they look like right now. There's the gas tank skid plate. Way more protection than what I had before. The transfer case. Made a little bracket up there for it. Engine. And transmission, little front differential drop pan there, and then the actual front skid plate. Actually, take you around to the front, show you that. And there's the front, and now that this is done, I'm going to start working on the rear skid plate. Rear skid plate. I'm going to start working on the rear bumper with a tire swing out. I'm going to make that out of 3/16 inch steel. These skid plates were made out of 10 gauge, which is a little thicker than 1/8, but not quite as thick as 3/16. And I'm going to do the front bumper as well. I'm going to make that out of 3/16 as well. So anyways, that's the build that we've got, and I'm going to show you how I did that. Stay tuned. Hey, good morning, and we are on the making trail of skid plates. Got the tent, talked about that a little bit. Still waiting for some fabric to come in, but slowly accumulating the parts, so that's going to be good. We're making a gas tank skid plate right now, and I think I've got most of that cut out. And it's kind of the general shape. Those are the sides that we've got here on each side. That might be a little high. Might have to shave that down a little bit. And then we're gonna put some wings off the top, the 3 bolts that go up on the right up in here, up on the left side of the skid plate. And then we're gonna put 3 hangers, one here, and then one up here, right there, I think, that connect up underneath the body of the vehicle. But we're working on the front skid plates because I want to tie them all together. That's why I'm sort of paused on that, because the front of the gas tank skid plate is going to have some angled protection on it to protect the front of the gas tank. So now I want to replace all these guys. Once I get these skid plates done, then I can start working on the rear bumper. So I'm kind of excited about getting these done and out of the way. I'm not going to see them. I'm way more excited about building a rear bumper with the swing out. So, but I want to knock this out, and that'll also give me some practice working with the plasma cutter. So got kind of the width of that front skid plate here. Kind of more or less mimic that one. Toyota engineers know way more about things than I do, so kind of copy the design and angles of that as much as I can. So that's kind of the width from here to here, and then the fold up on the side will protect the outside edge of the engine area there. So what I'm going to do now is just figure out the length and start cutting some cardboard, and I can always add or subtract from that as I go along. I'm going to eventually pop some lower control arm skids in as well to protect those, and then the rear differential, but I'll do that later. This is 10 gauge steel that I'm going to be using. It's a little thicker than 1/8 inch, so I think that's going to be good for the skid plates, and maybe for the differential and the lower control arms I might go with 3/16. See what I've got left over from the 4x8 sheet of 10 gauge that I got, and then I'm going to get I think I can do the front and rear bumpers out of a 4x8 sheet of 3/16 inch steel. So let's get at it and see how it goes. Okay, got everything cut out from cardboard at least. So we have the front differential cut out. I'm going to make a little cup underneath that, and then the oil change plug. So this is our engine and transmission skid plate. This will be the transfer case. So I'll go back in behind this plate here, and at the front we've got the front plate kind of goes under the radiator, this part here, and then underneath the diff drop mounts there, and that'll be a plate that you'll see from the front. So got all that set up, and then the gas tank skid plate. And I'm going to show you what we've got going underneath the 4Runner. So I have this little support brace underneath the, it's like, this is called a dynamic dampener or something. And then the actuator, I think, is on the back of the transfer case. But I want to connect the gas tank skid plate up to the front here and protect this whole area underneath the car. This is so exposed, the transfer case here and this dampener. I think some people actually even take this off, but I don't like taking stuff off. But if it's working, keep it going. And I'm going to have a connection with the gas tank skid plate coming up and connecting above the plate here for the transfer case. I'm going to have that piece there come back probably to about here and across. So this is going to be exposed, so I'm not too sure I'm keen on that, but I'm going to file this down here so this doesn't catch. There's a bit of a lip here that I have to grind down, but I don't really feel like welding that into the frame. So what I'm going to do is bolt it in. I've got it bolted in to the exhaust hanger here, and then on the other side this bolt hole is open. So I'm just gonna, I don't know if you can see that, but it's so I've got the engine and transmission traced out here, so I'll cut that out in the plasma cutter. This will be extra, we don't need that, and a strip down the side. And then this is the front plate there on the bottom, and then the transfer case at the back. And this one here is the gas tank. So we're going to cut this into 3 different sections because I want to bend these ends here in order to, we're going to bend it here all the way along. So I'm going to have to do that. My press brake is only 19 inches wide, so we're going to make it into 18-inch sections so I can fit that in there and bend the ends and then the tabs for the bolts that are going to go onto the hang. Then the other side we're going to do hangers here and here, and then on the back as well. So, but I'll fit that all into place later. We'll drill some holes for the hangers, and I've got a step bit which will work quite perfectly for that. So anyways, we're all set up for the plasma cutter, and actually other than this little test piece that I did recently, wherever that went, I think it's underneath some of this cardboard. There it is, under the compressor. Haven't used this yet, so this will be good, and probably do a couple test cuts, making sure I'm going to get a nice clean line on some of these sections here. But yeah, just get at it. Practice with this thing, and then once these are all done, drill them up, install them, make sure they all fit, and then coat them, and then put them on the rig and let it sort of get used to that. And then I'll start making the rear bumper with a tire swing out and a jerry can holder, and then the front bumper, which is going to be cool. Anyways, looking forward to that. Well, the skid plates came out pretty good. Obviously this one's pretty boring. It's just a rectangle. Not much to that one. That's the transfer case. Gotta obviously drill some holes through there to attach it up underneath the truck. This one is the gas tank skid plate. I got to do a bunch of bends on this. So cut it into 3 pieces, 4 actually. This is going to bend up at the front to get up over top of this plate here. And I got to snap these corners off. That's the front skid plate. Cut that in the middle because I've got to bend it along that black line, and then a seam along the edge here to fit up underneath the radiator. And then that's the engine and transmission skid plate. And the little kind of ovalish cutout is for the drain plan for the oil pan, so I don't have to keep taking this off all the time. And then that's the cutout for the front differential. So I'm going to make a little cup or tray that fits in underneath that, so that'll be interesting. But yeah, this is came out really well. That plasma cutter is amazing. Really enjoyed how well that worked. Okay, so now I'm gonna try not to mess this up with doing the bends on the brake press. And this is a 19-inch press, so I can't bend anything that's wider than 19 inches, which is why I cut the gas tank skid plate into 18-inch sections so I can bend the edges. So this part here will be the tab. I've got to drill a hole in to attach it up underneath the frame of the truck, and then this will also get bent probably down to about here. I think there's the bends, that whole lip there will get bent up, and then I'll do another 90-degree bend here, up here, in order to attach it to the underside of the frame. This is the cutout for the strap, for the front gas tank strap. So, and then on the other side there and at the back, we're going to do the hangers, which is I'm just going to drill a hole in the bend wall and then attach a 1-inch thick strap of steel and bend it at the top in order to bolt that up underneath the vehicle. So anyways, so far like how it's come together, and just created such a clean line. I'll be able to weld that together really easily later and create some really good strength there. But I'm going to bend it first and clean it up, the little slag marks that you can see in here. There's more underneath it, but yeah, really good. Love that plasma cutter. Pretty nice, awesome. Okay, these came together really well. I love that press brake, and plasma cutter makes this job so easy. So now I just have to, I think I'm going to fit it into place. Yeah, you know what, I'm tempted to fit it into place individually and drill the holes, but I know what happens when you start welding stuff together. You make some adjustments, you weld it, it changes the shape a little bit. I'm going to weld each piece together first. I'll clean it up a little bit. Weld each piece together. So I've got to combine the front skid plate together, the gas tank, got to fix this little bend up at the front end here, weld that on, and then once it's all in one piece, I'll obviously need to use my jack to lift that up because I'm not laying underneath that car holding this up with a knee and a hand and trying to mark bolt placement. So I think I'll weld it all up, all 4 individual pieces, and then start fitting it up underneath the car and measure the bolt placements that way, and then take it off and figure out how I'm going to drill the holes. I can probably do it on my drill press with that step bit. These things are awesome for drilling holes. If not, I can always blast a hole with the plasma cutter. That would work for sure. And if not, I can always take my hand drill with the step bit and lean on that. Once the step bit gets going, I actually don't have to lean on it too much. It's just getting the hole started. So I can always blast a little pinhole with the plasma cutter. That would make it super simple, and then the step bit will just fly through that. So I'm anticipating that's probably what's going to happen. And then I also have to, so I've got to make the bend for the front of the gas tank skid plate, and then make the dish for the front differential to protect that. So yeah, there we go. We're moving along. We are almost done the cutting process. I know my face apparently is quite dirty. I went into the house and Michelle started laughing. So then I looked in the mirror and I was like, I think my gloves are dirty. I should probably not touch my face when I'm out in the garage. Anyways, I'm almost done. So I still have to cut the bowl that's gonna protect the front differential. So I'll actually start cutting that here with the camera going. But everything else is done. So here's the engine, front diff, engine goes here, transmission is here. So that's done. The front skid plate's done. So it'll go up underneath the front of the car like that. Little wings to protect the CV boots. And then this is the transfer case. It's in front of the gas tank. So it's actually gonna go like that. I gotta weld this together. And then that's 30-degree little bend in it, so it'll weld that up. That'll go up along the frame and protect the front corner of the gas tank. And then that is gonna go like that. And this is gonna tuck up just over top of this here. So that's good. Now just weld this all together. So anyways, let me get working on this little bowl for the front differential. I'm just going to cut it out of cardboard. Make sure I get all my angles right. Cut it, bend it, and then weld it. See how it goes. Okay, this is much better. I like this a lot more. So I've got, it's probably a little warm. Yes, that's good. Just pop that down like that. Weld it along the edges here. And I've got my drainage holes, so water's not going to accumulate in there. We are good. Just have to remember to weld it on the right way, not this way. That would be totally something I would do. Weld it on the top of the skid plate. So this has got to go underneath like that. So I'll flip this over, put some tack welds into it, and because I want to have everything just tack welded into place so that when I fit it on, I'm going to fit everything on the 4Runner the way it is right now, and then start marking mounting locations and holes and such. And I might need to weld in some hangers for reaching up into the mounting locations, but yeah, like how everything's coming together so far. Not super sure about the whole front of the skid plate thing and how it connects to the transfer case cover, but I'll figure that out. So I'll be back. Off to church though first, and maybe hit that this afternoon after a hike. Because amongst all this, to prepare the 4Runner, I got to prepare myself, and my wife and I are doing a lot of training to get ready for some 14,000 foot hikes that we're doing this summer. So yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll do. Okay, so much happier with that. So that is going to be exactly what I'm looking for. So obviously weld all this in later, but that'll allow me to put it into the, up underneath the 4Runner, just to make sure it all fits and everything is dialed in. I need it to be 1 inch deep, so I'm just about that, probably a little more than 1 inch, but that's okay. Ooh, that didn't work. But I think we're good for the dry fit, and then once that's all in place, we will get welding. Okay, time to start fitting these in underneath the 4Runner. And I am going to use the dimensions obviously from this one, the old skid plate, and those hanger brackets, these guys here. One thing I'm going to do is take this strapping, drill a hole in the base of it down here, and again on here, and then just bolt it in, and then bend the top in order to, and drill a hole first of all and bend it in order to put it up underneath the 4Runner. I think that's going to work. And this thicker one here, wider one, is going to be way back here in the corner, so I want to be able to support that independently. Okay, so here's my idea for finding out the bolt locations. I'm going to use this laser that I've got, and I'm going to set that up right up underneath a bolt hole location, and then move the skid plate into position with the jack, and then I will see that bolt hole location indicated by the laser, and I'm going to put a little mark. Back later. Cheers. Oh, so close to being done. It's all installed. I think I might need to do a little trim down the side here. It's the transfer case plate. I don't like that little step over to the left there, so I might just angle that off a tad. But anyways, there we go. There is the front plate. I had to cut it in half to get the bends. Might fill that in with a little bit more weld and sand it down a bit more. And there's a differential drop cover, engine oil protector. I'm going to put some 1/4 inch steel bars across the front, maybe a little circle around each of those 4 nuts there, so that they're protected from rocks scraping along. Shouldn't be too hard, just weld those on. And then gas tank skid down there. I'll spin around though, take a better look at that. So here's the transfer case. Actually there's a bolt hole in here. I could always attach a bolt there, but I don't think I need to. That's pretty solid. Angled these guys off a tad. That's the bracket. Eventually I think I'm going to weld that right in and cut this off and just weld it in, but for now I'm going to leave that. And then the gas tank skid plate, nicely transitioned there, really well protected. I like it. It took a lot of finagling. First one's always the hardest. Oh, and I do need to cut in some drain holes, probably not on this one, but at the front skid plate along that bend on the bottom, probably along here as well, because this will be a spot where water will collect for sure, so maybe 3 or 4, and then throughout the gas tank. Although it's flat at the back and water will certainly shoot out, I want to have some holes along the edges here in order to let any accumulated water drain out. So, pretty solid, not rattling, so that's good. And I think right now I just have to clean it all up, make sure all the edges are smooth, and put a coat of primer on there. But I'm pretty happy. Oh, I'll do these bolt protectors first though. Get those on. And we're all done. Pretty excited about that. Good protection for our trip to Colorado. I got a bolt in here that I got to put in up in top here. So decided to put in a couple of little side supports, just in case we get any big impacts from rocks up underneath. It doesn't, or it'll be less likely to buckle the plate. So I've got this little side support there. Got some cross beams here and here, so I'm gonna just do it in the middle here. Probably put one over on this side, but I'm just gonna leave it for now. But I like the look of having these here, so weld those in and start cleaning things up. So we got all the skid plates coated. I got a coat of, here, I'll show you what I've got over here. I have a coat of Rust-Oleum high performance metal primer, and then a high performance protective enamel gloss black. So one coat of that, one coat of that. Okay, we'll take you on a quick tour of the final skid plate product, and I like the way it turned out. It's looking really good. So here's obviously the front skid plate. I'm going to tie that into the front bumper when I eventually make that, coming up over the next couple months. I'm going to work on the back bumper first, but I can get the front bumper and tie that right into the front bumper build, so that line from that skid plate should carry pretty much right up and create some really awesome high clearance up at the front end. So the only thing that's going to hold that off is these rings here. They're going to stick out, but that's fine. I might pull those off and have some different attachments up higher. And anyway, so here's the, of course it's raining, so let me get on my creeper here. And so there's the gas tank skid plate. That worked out really well. So we got some hangers that tie up into the body of the vehicle. This one is right up above the drive shaft. Real pain in the butt to get to. That one's a lot easier. You can see it's up there. And that's pretty straightforward. There's another one on the back corner. And then I'll spin around and show you the bolts that hang on the gas tank on the other side. Got a little protective lip here on the side, and then this front end here to protect it. I'll put a whack load of welding along here to really strengthen that up. And then we've got this transfer case. I've got a 1-inch tubing here for now. I might replace that down the road with a beefier tubing and then weld it right into the inside of the frame here. But right now I've just got a little bracket that I've made on each side and tied it into a bolt hole that I showed you earlier. Got the transfer case, the muffler protected, and then we've got the transmission skid plate. And those are those little sidewalls that I put on here. They came out really nice. And then the differential drop pan, and then the opening to do the oil change. And then once I get the bumpers done, I'm going to make some skid plates for the lower control arm on each side. And then at the back, I'm going to pull in lower shock mounts and the trailing arm mounts there as well. And then I'm also going to do a rear differential skid plate to protect that. But that's it. There's my skid plate build. So thanks for watching the video that we just did on the skid plates. Really appreciate you hanging out and coming along with the ride, for the ride. And next we're going to be working on the bumpers. So we're going to work on the rear bumper first with the rear tire swing out. And then we're going to do the front bumper. And first though, I actually have to finish off my rooftop tent. So I'm going to work on that sucker. I got the fabric inside, so we're going to get that all done, put that together pretty quickly, and then I'm excited to get going on those bumpers. So if you're interested in catching up on that information, subscribe, like the video or whatever, and hopefully we'll see you again. Cheers, bye.